covered some of his fights. Hall of Famer Dan Dierdorf, currently the color analyst for Michigan football, former ABC commentator on some of the boxing broadcasts. Dan, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing very well, Tony. And you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for joining us. What were your thoughts when you heard that the greatest of all time had passed away?
Well, when I heard that he was having respiratory problems, I think I was ready for it. But still, it's not every day that someone who was the most well-known person on the entire planet passes away. It doesn't happen very often, and the way Muhammad Ali lived his life was he was a contemporary. He's older than I, but by not that much, and I was saddened. He was a great man.
Dan, we talked yesterday a lot about what an just iconic figure he is and how it's so completely different than today's athletes, particularly because of his connection to the world of civil rights. In your era, being a contemporary, somebody who yourself is a Hall of Famer and spent a lot of time around other, very big deal athletes and national figures, explain Muhammad's presence and how he just separated himself from others in your era.
Well, first of all, how many athletes have we had? And someone like an Arnold Palmer who did it a different way. I'm talking about raw charisma, where people, even if they don't want to be, are just drawn to them. I don't know that anyone has ever sat, whoever pegged the charisma meter like Muhammad Ali. He jumped off a television screen. If you were in a room where he was present, you just stopped talking. You just wanted to be close to him to hear what he had to say or what he might do. And, people like that just don't come along very often. And, he used it. He knew he had it. It was a gift, and he played it to the hilt, and he used it for what he wanted to use it for.
From a sports standpoint, Dan, what were his matches like in terms of the ones that you covered? What was it like being ringside when Muhammad Ali was in the ring?
Well, he was a gifted athlete. He didn't hit with the power of say, a Mike Tyson or a George Foreman, but athletically, he was probably the most athletic heavyweight boxer that ever stepped in a ring. It would be foolish to say of any weight class, because the Sugar Ray Leonards and the smaller guys, it was easier to move like that. We'd not seen a big man move around the ring the way Ali did, effortlessly. The whole float like a butterfly and sting. Well, the guy did sometimes look like he was floating. So light on his feet, his footwork was stunning to behold. And I'll tell you the other thing, and this was, people have speculated that this might have been one of the problems, is that he had an iron jaw. I know he got knocked out a few, but Muhammad Ali had a very strong chin. He could take a punch, and that was, for a fighter, that's a wonderful trait. But it certainly means that he took maybe more than his fair share of blows to the head. And I'm not a doctor, but I know that there's been speculation that could have brought on the Parkinson.
As his boxing career was winding down, Muhammad Ali did a series of sort of celebrity fights, and one of them I remember because I grew up in Denver, and the former Denver Bronco defensive lineman Lyle Alzado, who you probably put on the ground a couple of times during your career.
He was my roommate in the college all-star game.
Was he really?
I knew Lyle very well.
Wow.
I knew Lyle from Yankton College.
Well, he was one of my big, football heroes growing up, sort of in the original Orange Crush days, and he put on one of those celebrity fights against Muhammad Ali, and I read a piece the other day looking back on it in the Denver Post. And Alzado was trying to say, I could be a boxer, I could be a boxer. And the question that some people ask because of Muhammad Ali's athleticism is, could he have been an NFL football player?
Oh, I think so. It was funny you bring that up. I was just thinking about, back then he probably would have been a tremendous tight end, or maybe an outside linebacker if he wanted to play defense. He was in that 215, 220 pound range. If that's the way where he wanted to play, I would think he would have been maybe a large wide receiver. I don't know what kind of straightaway speed he had, but yes, he had that type of athleticism. That is not a stretch to project Muhammad Ali to almost any sport that he would have wanted to try.
Dan Dierdorf, NFL Hall of Famer, former ABC boxing commentator, knew Muhammad Ali well. Thanks, Dan, for the time. We appreciate it.
All right, Tony. Thank you. Anytime.
Good to talk to you. Let's go out